To the clerk treasurer and the administrator. Welcome, all three of you. Thank you for coming. If you have a cell phone, if you wouldn't mind putting it on vibrate or turning it off. And a reminder to the board to speak into the microphones. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, we need to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Gauss, seconded by Ward to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Excuse me, the minutes of the 9/14 board. Any additions, corrections to that?
I'll move to adopt as presented.
Second.
Motion by Cavazos, seconded by Ward. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approve the payment of the bills. Any questions on the bills?
I move we pay the bills as presented.
Second.
Motion by Ward, seconded by Gauss. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Treasurer's report. Stacy?
The municipal checking account started at $897,401.04. We transferred money to the checking account. We had some interest, so we're at $697,749.45. The money market started at $645,274.02. With some interest, we have $645,671.79. The checking account started at $251,640.51. We had some deposits, and that includes our August settlement in there, minus the FICA withholding payroll and other disbursements. So we're now at $835,895.93. Utility district, again, that's $545,938.33 as an overall balance. So the total in all town accounts is $2,725,255.50 as of August 31st.
Any questions?
Yeah, I do have a comment or two, I guess. That's nice that we're $600,000 ahead of 2018 for some reason. But with the savings or money markets and things like that, you know, interest isn't real high, but I even have a reasonable account that pays 2%. And and that's not a restricted account either. I just wondered whether Nicolay or Associated, the one that I have is with BMO Harris,
Okay.
whether there's some investigation that we can do that way.
Are we restricted to local institutions?
Probably, it's a fairly liquid account, so we can get it out quickly, that might be why it's low.
Oh, that could be.
Those seem to be out there being offered that are pretty open too. I can write a check on this one. Just throwing it out there.
Doesn't hurt to,
Yeah. I didn't know how, you know, tied in that these had to be, and 'cause we have
You're-
all that, you know, we have money that's. in
yeah, are you
those.
thinking basically the money market?
Well, that or it must be consolidated somewhere because we have those capital reserve accounts. And we don't have to pay for a fire truck next week or in 6 months. So if, you know, is that money also in those numbers that are on this sheet?
Yes,
Okay.
from what I understand, yes. Unless there's other accounts that.
So you're getting 2%?
Well, Stacy, you want to do a little,
We can do some
Research?
research.
you suggesting we give Paul the money and let,
I was gonna say, let's write him a check. We'll do investigating tomorrow. Janet will have an answer for you,
Yeah.
probably without investigating.
At 8:01, she'll know.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
Second.
Motion by Lowry, seconded by Gaz. All in favor?
Aye.
And that motion carries. Public input. Anybody want to make a general comment? Anybody wish to speak on an agendized item? Okay. 12 possibly?
Which one?
18.
18, okay. Okay, then we'll go on to number 8, consider price quote from Bodwin for the new section of Ellison Bay Cemetery. And that was, well, it's a moving target, what, 25 to 3,000, depending on the number of revisions that they have to make.
And there is money available in graves sold at this time.
In which?
Graves sold.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good. I was wondering if that was coming from Parks and Property where there isn't any.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal from Bodwin.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. All right, we need to appoint the town mediation representatives. I make a motion that the entire board become the mediation representatives.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
What does that look like then?
What do you mean?
You're talking about the mediation with.
With Sister Bay.
Sister Bay. Does that mean then? I think I know where you're headed with this. They have requested only 2, right? Mediators to be able to
Well, if memory
speak
serves
and.
me correct, the discussion was that they should appoint 2,
Yeah,
and it was left at that. And they've been asking, who have we appointed? My reaction to that is I don't want any one of us out of the loop.
I
I agree
understand
that
that, and I
way.
agree 100%. Are we, I just want to play devil's advocate,
Yeah,
because I
that's
do
fine.
support the whole thing. I've noticed in the communications that at least once or twice, the judge has suggested, as has Jack Bruce, that we do as they ask. And are we being impertinent, is my question, my devil's advocate question.
Or do we appoint 2 and all of us attend?
I was
Yeah.
planning on it
Yeah,
anyway,
I
yeah.
was.
Keep me away.
Or we
We
rotate,
could take a sidebar then.
Mhm.
right, or we rotate through. If we have 2 who are participating and the rest are observing, then you want to take a break, then we have somebody
So,
else step in.
That's nice, yeah. Have a bullpen.
We have a bullpen, yeah. We have a lot of depth in our bullpen.
I like that.
So you're suggesting we select 2 and then 3
Three
alternates?
alternatives. 3 alternates. I was planning to attend also, so
I
it
was
looks
planning
like
to
we're
attend
all.
as well. But then there
We
might be
did.
times that not all of us, 5 of us
No,
could be
that's-
there
that's
anyway.
true. Well, you want to pull your second?
I'll pull my second.
The motion dies for lack of a second. I don't mind being impertinent.
Is that a
Well, I
motion?
most certainly do.
All right.
And just to your comment, is it appropriate or legal to have a sidebar or to caucus?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Good,
There are no restrictions on this.
good. I don't know enough about it.
Well, it was
Hmm.
pretty informal in the last round. I mean, it wasn't,
Absolutely.
nothing locked in stone.
Yeah, yeah.
What was told to me at the real utility district meeting that Bud referred to before about the report was that the two would expedite the mediation, implying, or at least I inferred, that the five of us were slowing things down. And I beg to differ with that, and I said, I think in fact, the mediator spent much more time in the other room, and we had nothing but time, and we were very expeditious about the way we dealt with things. And then when we had the afternoon session, the combined session, most of the time was taken by Mr. Cuffrin
Yep,
on great detail of things that really didn't make too much sense in terms of the point we were trying to make. So we can't be blamed for having, slowed things down because there were five of us, if that was what the reason was, which didn't seem to be factually correct.
Well, following up on my impertinent comment, I would prefer not to be one of the two, because if Mr. Cuffin is there, I probably will not hold my tongue. No, I'm honestly, I've pretty much had the course with that gentleman.
Well, then the two with the most background on it are Lou and Nancy anyways.
Bud,
And, well, Bud's in there too, yeah. I forgot about.
you talk about background, and,
He did offer to come and talk to the board,
who?
Mr. Cuffrin. He offered to come here
Oh,
and
please.
explain what he explained to me, and I relayed to you.
I think that would be inappropriate
He said he'd
under the
come here.
circumstances.
That would be inappropriate.
Yeah,
That's an ex parte discussion, the mediator is not there,
yep,
and one side's trying to influence the other side without the mediator.
yep.
And that's not, that is not permissible.
As I said, I've about had it with Mr. Cuffin. Well, anybody want to volunteer? Do you want to draw a star also?
I really think that Bud should be one, because
Yeah.
he's the one who has had the consistent contact with this issue from the get-go. And I believe any of the rest of us would be good for any number of different reasons. Lou is an attorney. Kathy and I are women. Nothing scares Cuffrin more than women with brains.
Impertinent women,
Impertinent
perhaps.
women, yes. And Paul is
That's true.
an
That's
even keel, say it like it is, gentleman type of guy. So we all have our strengths, and I love the fact that you can name all of us as part of this or alternates or whatever, because I think our strength is in all of us. But I think Bud should be the lead on this.
And I do think that the idea of having having alternates is if we're all attending anyway, and we're alternates, it doesn't mean that we're all going to participate at once, but that we could certainly jump in when need be. Take a sidebar and then discuss what
Yeah.
I think is the important part here. That's why I think it was a big mistake for the village trustees not to be there.
attend.
Yes,
It,
yeah.
they're gonna have to go back and hear it secondhand.
Right.
We know exactly what was discussed. We know the intonation and the nuance by being there, as
Right.
opposed to having heard it secondhand.
Yep.
We are that much more effective in getting this done if we observe and participate in a limited way and alternate through that way.
All right, to the two gentlemen sitting here. Which of the two ladies do you think would be more frightening to Mr. Cuffrin? Be careful now. Don't answer.
I'm not gonna say a thing.
I think Nancy's got the experience with this, though, and we discussed the annexation issue the other day.
Yes.
And, which is, I think, an important part of what we need to talk about as well. I mean, whether it's at the mediation or previous to that with legal counsel.
Okay,
I'm okay with that.
okay. Then it'll be Nancy and Bud with 4 alternatives.
Can we have a motion? Maybe.
Okay, I'll make the motion that we appoint Bud and Nancy and Paul, Kathy, Lou, and myself as the alternatives. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
You should have done 10 first.
Hmm?
Maybe you should have done 10 before this.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm just looking at this. I guess we're stuck if he is, I mean, now we can't get rid of him.
Now
We're
you've
stuck.
done it.
Okay, number 10, consider the recommendation of the Personnel Committee to approve COM's 3-year contract. I'll move to approve.
I'll second that.
Motion by Cavazos, a second by Gaz. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
aye.
Motion carries, and let the record reflect that it's a unanimous vote. Number 11, consider recommendations of Parks and Property Committee to install a bench at the Grandview Park in honor of Lars Johnson, Lars Johnson's service on the Door County Board of Adjustment.
So this was presented to Parks and Property at the last meeting last week. There's actually a bench already there, but does not have a name on it. Parks and Property, I think we voted unanimously to take the opportunity to honor Lars's service while he's alive.
So this is replacing an existing bench.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think they're gonna put a new bench there, but it's at a spot where there is a bench.
So there wouldn't be an additional one.
No.
No. So I would move that the board recommend the placement of a bench at the Grandview in honor of Lars Johnson's service to the Door County Board of Adjustment.
I'll second that.
Motion by Ward, seconded by Gaz. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I think we should let Lars know that, too. Maybe send a note to him. Number 12, consider ordinance 1319, an ordinance for the control of high-strength waste and septic waste brought to the Sister Bay wastewater treatment plant. You want to make a comment now? Please.
Dale Stewart, 12677 Sawmill Lane, Allison Bay. Just my own experience at Camp Zion with the grease trap. We had to retrofit a building that was not planned to have a grease trap, so it had to go in a crawl space under that. There was no way we were able to do it outside. And when our installer, which was Anschutz, said, "Oh, that's just a once-a-year pump out for you," Sister Bay said, "No, you got to have that done every month." So I was very glad to see the proposed ordinance change, giving the utilities manager some leeway in how often that gets pumped. Because in our case, we don't have a fryer. There are huge sections of time where we don't have anybody in camp, and we're just not generating grease. So I do appreciate the 2 words "or less" that are in the ordinance. So thank you.
Thank you, Dale. All right, any questions anybody has on this? Stacy, you want to make a comment on it, or?
It was a request that Bud got.
Yeah.
Basically, the
Grease
change
trap
of,
inspector's not gonna be here.
Well,
change of required inspections.
right.
That's what the impetus was here.
Okay, seeing no other questions or comments, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 13-19 for the control of strength, control of high-strength waste and septic waste brought to the Sister Bay wastewater treatment plant.
Second.
We have a tie at the second again, I believe, between Gaz and Ward. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Since
Opposed?
it's an
Since
ordinance,
it's
can I
a roll-
have
I'm
a roll
sorry.
call?
Roll call, please.
Lowry?
Yes.
Kavatsas?
Yes.
Goss?
Aye.
Ward?
Yes.
Schwangle?
Yes.
Thank you. So that's 5-0.
Okay, going on to 13, discussion and possible action regarding shredding events.
So we did a tally of the events. There was one event this year and 188 people came. In the last year, there was 2 events, one in June and one in September. The June event had about 164 people and the September event had 129. There have been some calls to the office. You had it in July. July is the busiest time of the year. I can't do it. One person said I might as well dump my stuff in the lake. So, you know, there was people that came to both. It's, you know, I think it'll be used by both, or both events would be used.
And it's not electronic disposal, just
Yes.
shredding?
No, it would be both.
It could be
It
both.
was both.
Yes, I'm sorry, I think I just wrote it as shredding, but it is
Okay.
both. And then the costs are split for the shredding, are split with the village. And the recycling gentleman, at this time, he has not charged us due to what is brought in.
Do we think the attendance, do we think a lot of the same people came to both? Or that more people were served with the 2 events? Any ideas?
I don't know. That was the same question I asked. You know, how many of the, 164 versus 129, how many of them were at both? And I don't know.
Depends
Okay.
on how much is built up in the garage.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I would, I'd go for the 2.
I would too.
Mm-hmm.
It just accommodates more people and
Right.
timely.
And have the first one earlier.
Yeah, I think the June one proves a lot more effective.
Yeah, that's when people are, cleaning out and getting ready for,
Go June and September. All
We
right,
need a motion?
yeah. I'll make a motion to go back to the doing the shredding and recycling event twice a year, once in June, once in September.
I'll second that.
All right, seconded by Lou. Any other discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 14, consider recommendation of the Technology Committee for use of grant funds for the tower in the vicinity of Plant Road. Kathy?
So this came into the tech committee from Kevin at Door County Broadband. It looks like they have an agreement. When I asked if this was a sure thing, it seemed like it's a sure thing, not going to be anybody back out. So Plant Road is off of County Q. It's going to be, so it's a little down the line from the tower that we were hoping to put up by Town Line and 42 up at that corner. It'll serve the same purpose. There don't seem to be any issues. The property owner, of course, is very willing to have it. Doesn't seem to be any issues from the neighbors at all.
Is that where those storage buildings are?
I believe,
Yeah,
yeah.
yep.
Mhm. So I would move that the town board recommend use of grant funds for a tower location in the vicinity of Plant Road in Liberty Grove.
I'll second. Any other discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 15, consider date for budget hearing and special town meeting, October 15th.
The town board has to call for a special town meeting
Right.
whenever there's one contemplated, so it would take a motion and a second to pass the a resolution to set the town meeting for October 15th at 7 o'clock.
I'll make a motion to set the Town of Liberty Grove budget hearing and special town meeting for October 15th, 2019.
Second.
All right, the motion is made, excuse me, by Gaz, seconded by Schwengel. Any discussion? Are we going to be ready?
Yes.
Nothing like a deadline.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Number 16, discussion possible action, multimodal local supplement grant program for Mink River Road. Bud?
The Highway Committee discussed this. This came out just last week from the Town Association. I got wind of it a little while ago, but now it's in black and white. The legislature, through the DOT, is funding a one-time $75 million grant. They're calling it the Multimodal Local Supplement Grant Program for municipal projects. They've got monies parceled out. Towns actually have the most of it in $29 million. Cities and villages have 19 million, and counties have just under 27 million. There's a Kaukauna Bridge project here that is part of this. They're siphoning money out of here for that, so it knocks the total down to, instead of 75 million, it's 73,240,000. The Kaukauna Bridge project is going to open up waterway for a 40-mile-long Fox River lock system that people can motor through, which is hampered now by this bridge. I talked to, the first thing that came to mind to me was the Mink River Road bike path, walking path proposal or thought that we had has been brought up several times because of all the traffic on that road. Pedestrian, foot traffic, bicycles, baby strollers, you name it. Design work is covered by the grant. It's a 90% grant. We'd only have to pay 10% of the total cost. The deadline for submitting is December 6th. I downloaded all the applications for it, and we'll be talking to Steve about it if it's approved to go ahead and get working on it. The minimum project for towns is 50,000. Counties, cities, villages is 250,000, but we're definitely going to meet that just on Mink River Road because of paving alone. So it's up to the town board. This would be it's a competitive program, so we have to juice it up as much as possible to make it sound good and get it passed on the application process. So.
Mink River's on 2020 budget already, right?
Yes,
But just as the paving,
just the paving.
without
This,
going into an extra width or anything else.
this could impact it if
Right.
it might take longer to do the project with doing the shoulders and widening it out for those paths. We'll have to decide if we want one path or a path on each side.
Each side.
So Steve I think has already started looking at those criteria, so if we have to put that back a year because of the project, then we'll have to stick something else in there to pave.
6 years to finish it,
Yeah,
it looks.
yeah. So that's the nuts and bolts of the multimodal local supplement grant program.
I'll make a motion to proceed.
Yeah.
They have Modo and draw plans for the multimodal grant application.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Number 17, consider proposals for asbestos removal. Yep, that's the old LA location. We've got two.
The one just came in yesterday. The higher priced one, the person has been here twice to investigate the site. The first one was when I first sent out the request, and then we needed to pump out the basement, so he wanted to come back again after the basement was pumped out because there could be stuff down there, and there was. So his number is just under 15,000, and the other company is 10,500. They're both certified and recognized asbestos removers.
Did the one with the lower estimate get to see the building after the water was pumped out?
He didn't contact me that he was coming up to look at it. If he was here unannounced. He wasn't here before it was pumped out, because he said he wanted to wait until it was pumped out to see if there was stuff underneath. The investigators went down and found some down there. So, as far as I know, he was not here.
So this quote could, or this proposal could be possibly not enough.
It's, to me, and like I said, I haven't had time to check it out. I don't know if it would be as complete as the
Right,
as a 15 grand one.
Yeah.
That's my concern.
yeah.
Yeah, the lower proposal has a not included.
I saw that too.
This one doesn't, there's no place in there where it says not included, I guess. It looks to be to me, it looks to be a little more thorough.
The
The higher-
$10,000, the higher one, yeah, I agree. I don't have good feelings about the $10,000 one, especially if he hadn't come up, you don't know that he hasn't come up. And the not included, that's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items not included.
I think we use the lower one as leverage on the higher one, though. Say, we got two bids, and yours is substantially higher. They don't have to see this other bid. That might help him, might induce him to, the higher one to lower his bid. It's a 4,000, that's a more than,
Almost 15%.
That's what I was thinking,
50% almost
50%
different.
difference.
Yeah, yeah.
to say, we got two bids, one for 50% less. Can you do any better?
Is this
Sure.
time sensitive? I mean, do we have to make a decision on this tonight?
Not at all, no.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I would like to see,
When are-
find out
This
for
one's
sure.
got a 30-day window on it.
The higher one, he was here and he had an older gentleman with him who said he's been in this business for 30 years, so they're pretty experienced.
Mm-hmm.
What's the timing of this?
He said they'd have plenty of time to do it, get it done this late summer or fall, which here we are. When they get the contract, they have to notify the
Yeah.
DNR. Then there's a waiting period of 10 days, which I guess, gives the GNR time to come and look at it if they want to. So they have to wait for 10 days, and then they would begin the work.
Okay.
I mean, assuming we're comparing apples to apples, which it doesn't seem like we are quite an apples to apples comparison,
Right.
I think it's incumbent on us to go with the lower bid, assuming they are apples to apples, unless there's something that suggests that the higher one would it be more all-inclusive and more thorough, whatever we get the feeling from this proposal. And I would just mention that, you know, our due diligence from the board perspective suggests that we at least get a counter offer from the higher one, knowing that the lower bid is 50%.
Why don't we reverse that and go to the lower guy and say, hey, look, we've got a bid higher than yours
It covers everything,
that covers everything.
yeah.
Can you revise your bid?
Upward?
Well, yeah, you're asking one guy to go down, you're asking the other guy to go up.
Yeah, I'm curious to know
My druthers.
why he's excluding these materials.
Yeah.
Well, I still would go with the higher bid. Get it done.
Yeah, get it done and get it done right.
And the fact that they were here twice.
Which is the exclusion you're talking about here?
on the-
No, that's not, yeah, there's a lot of non-included stuff that could be a problem.
Yeah, down here.
Yeah, what that is, that's the non-friable stuff, which the other guy explained to me, said that that can go to a licensed landfill,
Just have to bag it and
which is
carry it.
not as, it'll just go in the, with the construction material. All the construction stuff will just go to a licensed landfill.
Okay,
The other stuff that's friable, which is the bad stuff, apparently that's the stuff that's bagged up and hauled away.
okay.
But basically, the whole rest of the house and the motel will be hauled to the licensed landfill. And I think why this other one is higher is because of what they found in the basement, I would guess. There's stuff on the cement block down there, sealant, that,
That the
I got-
lower bid's not aware of, you think?
I gotta talk to him about that.
Oh.
He's, the lower one has got the sealant in the crawl space,
Right.
but then the other, there's some that could be underneath the ground, and I don't know how they're gonna handle that, which we need to find out.
What if we just made a counteroffer to the higher bidder and say that the town board has authorized us to accept a bid of no more than 13,000? And see what kind of response they
Yeah,
have.
we can throw that at them, sure.
Well, and so on the lower one, the things that aren't included that can go to a licensed landfill, is that not included because the assumption would be that we could take them to a licensed landfill? Or this would definitely be extra?
It's basically the licensed landfill is Appleton.
Right. Disposal at okay, and the other one says disposal at certified asbestos landfill is included. It's not apples and apples. It appears.
Yeah, it doesn't sound as if, looking through this, it doesn't sound as if the lower proposal, prior to demolition by others, they'll go in and take out the bad stuff, but everything else is left for.
Yeah, does that
Landfill.
mean every demolition guys are gonna look at 4,200 square feet of tar paper and say, I can't take that?
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah, the stuff on the roof is all non-friable.
Ah. So as you read this, do you think the things that are excluded in the one are included in the other?
No, in general, it looks like they're pretty much sticking to the investigative report from AIRS. And like I say, there's something in the higher one that, to me, is included that's not in the lower one. But exactly what it might be, if it's that stuff in the foundation or what, I do not know.
It does say if you have questions or require more detailed information, please call.
Yeah, I think we need to find out why the big difference between the two.
I make a motion to go with Asbestos Removal Incorporated. Is there a second?
I'll
Motion
second
dies.
that.
Oh, all right. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
So,
I'm definitely more comfortable with that one, but I'd like to see if we can
Yeah, I'd like to follow
just
Lou's
get
lead
a
on that
little
one
bit,
as far as
a little
asking for-
leeway here, even a couple of $1,000 might.
All those opposed to the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion fails.
I think we should pursue, at least just ask some questions. I think it's hard to, I'm kind of worried that the other one with the not included things could easily jump up, that we'd be paying the same price. But I can't tell if for the same price we're getting the same service. I can't tell that on here. Is that clear to you, Bud?
Yeah, I'd have to get the guy on the phone and just ask him if he thinks somebody else could have excluded something that makes their price that much lower.
Yeah.
If it's a 10 or 20%, you think they're in the ballpark, but 50% difference
That's
is a lot of
significant.
difference.
When I think of last night and how we scrambled to find, $5,000 in the budget that we need to
Exactly.
find, there it is, right there.
Exactly.
Well, the demolition comes next.
Well, yeah.
Maybe we saw that one.
We haven't made a decision.
So if we don't decide tonight, then we don't get back to this till the 6th, is that right? Of November? No, we're in September yet, sorry.
I-
The second?
How about if we move to authorize the administrator to, after looking into the competing bids, use his discretion to retain the asbestos removal company that he thinks would be in the best interest of the town and at the best price. And this way we don't have to go back to it.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the motion means.
Yeah, well, Bud, investigates a little bit, finds out whether we're really talking about apples to apples, to see if the more expensive one, the 50% higher one could come down a little bit, or maybe we are paying the full price for something that we're gonna get, and then for him to say, you know what, I can understand, and it makes sense for the town to go with the one he chooses then. In his discretion. It's gonna come down to that anyway, in terms of being able to really assess the,
It also probably should be noted in the record and in the discussion. It's my understanding that this qualifies for a contingency draw because it's an unexpected expense, this issue.
Kind of interesting, I sent out RFPs or requests to 3 companies and only got a response from 2. Third one didn't even contact us that I'm aware of.
Would you read the motion, please?
I have a motion to authorize the administrator to use his discretion to retain the asbestos removal company with the best service for the best price.
it would be after, consulting with the providers.
All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, on to the removal of books and notepads. Want to make a comment first, please?
Hi, Nancy Kurz, Liberty Grove Historical Society. There are a number of record books, not just general books, from the Gus Klinke Garage, as well as receipts that have been sitting in there for all these many years. They are obviously at risk on a daily basis for destruction, self-destruction, with the possibilities of, well, they need to be removed, number one. That's the first thing. The Historical Society is very happy to take care of that with your blessing. We have some bins that we can put them in and store them, even though we're not temperature controlled, but they haven't been under temperature control this whole time. So, and they will at least be safe from critters and those kinds of things. If a wall collapsed or if the roof collapsed before it could be fixed, those kinds of situations. So if you approve our taking those, we can meet with Bud, and Dave Weston is also going to help with that. And then we'll remove those items up to the Historical Society, probably in the barn, and they can stay up there in a nice dry spot until such time as either the group decides that you want them to stay there and be kept under those conditions, or return to a completed Gus Klinke Garage.
So you're saying that, Nancy, they might become a part of them might become a part of an exhibit that's in the garage itself?
Well, it depends on how tight the garage is as far as protection. We would prefer to have them at the Historical Society. We do have a number of other Gus Klinke items.
Oh.
And so we can do that and have them on display, or some of them at least. But they need to be protected. That's the most important thing. So it could possibly be, there might be a few that you'd want to have in the garage at such time as it's a museum, but chances are they'd be better off in a situation up at the Historical Society. It's up to you. But we just want to get them out of there now before the winter hits and take care of them for you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have been asked to share a concern. The concern is that the records should be stored at the town hall, or the possibility of the North Station or the old fire station, because they are town property, so we should maintain control of them.
So if we think of these things as artifacts, even upon collection, there's going to be some kind of process to go through, you know. I'm assuming some of these are just stacked up and some of them might be moldy and falling apart and others not. It seems like there's going to have to be some kind of a going through them. And
Want to preserve them as they are, they're in, as I recall, they're in cardboard boxes, aren't they, Bud?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't, you don't want them in cardboard boxes.
No.
right.
That, you know, they've been there a long time, and they're part of the history of the Gus Clinky Garage.
Some have got moisture on them, they get, stiff they get after.
Right.
That happens.
Well, I was wondering if some of them are moldy and that sort of thing, and will they have to be gone through or left intact in the stacks or in the boxes they are, or do we run the risk of whatever mold might be in there just spreading throughout? I mean, that would be my reasoning for having them in the keeping with someone who might be able to deal with that, which I don't think anybody in any of our town offices would
Yeah,
deal with.
I agree with that completely. They might be town property, but they're really historical artifacts. If they were going to be anything but a burden on whoever stores them because of the mold or otherwise, why ask for that, And
No
whereas
room on Bud's desk anyway.
historical artifacts belong, I think, with the Historical Society. It's not like the town is ever going to do anything but have the burden of moving these or holding them or whatever they're going to be.
And at some point in time, maybe sooner rather than later, the town could do a document gifting the Historical Society the receipts or whatever for safekeeping and for posterity and their historical value. I don't know that they have any real municipal or governmental value.
No, there's no government.
I'll make a motion to authorize the Liberty Grove Historical Society to temporarily remove the books and notepads from the Clinky Garage and store them appropriately.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 19, consider recommendation of Plan Commission to neither approve or disapprove Door County zoning ordinance, appendatory zoning ordinance number 2019. What is this all about?
This is about campgrounds. And the county this spring came up with a number of amendments to the existing Door County zoning ordinance regarding campgrounds. And among other things, and you've probably heard a little bit about some of this controversy in news, because the state's mixed up in this too. The existing ordinance has historically allowed for what's called camping cabins. They're little wooden, like A-frame things, sort of like the old KOA ones. They do not have power or plumbing. They're just a sturdy tent, if you will. And there are indeed some of these camping cabins already in existence at some Door County campgrounds. There has been this spring a bit of an explosion with developers wanting to develop a campground with a majority of these camping cabins. Bailey's Harbor, Aaron's Road project is one example. And then the state stepped in this spring and mandated that if a campground has camping cabins, they must have electricity and plumbing. Under the old ordinance, before the amendments, that left the county very vulnerable to a developer of a campground coming in and making the entire campground camping cabins. And there started to be chatter in the zoning world of Door County that, oh my, wouldn't this be a good way to address the J1 visa temporary seasonal workers situation? Well, that started a fire under some of the people in Gibraltar, where there was a developer, I don't know if he's still planning it, of doing a development just south of County Highway F, with primarily camping cabins and renting them out on a seasonal basis in a highly residential neighborhood. So, back to Liberty Grove. As you know, our Plan Commission has been working since November of 2017, when Act 67 came out, on campground overlays, because we saw many vulnerabilities in the county ordinance near our sensitive environmental areas like Newport State Park, the Mink River Estuary, Door Bluff Headlands, Europe Lake, and we also have the most heartland of any municipality in Door County. We're the only municipality that's had its Heartland 15. And many of these sensitive areas are surrounded by Heartland. So we worked since November of 2017 until this spring and did a really fine ordinance overlay. And before the county looked at it, I had already sent it in to the planning department. They came out with their overlay or their amendments. And so all municipalities that are town governed received a letter about 2 weeks ago now, saying that I back up just a little bit. I went down to the RPC when they were discussing this, whether or not to pass it on to the County Board of Supervisors, and suggested a few changes that they make that Liberty Grove Plan Commission we're all in agreement. Yep, these are 4 things that we really would like to see them do. They didn't do any of them. They did lessen the number of camps that could be put on a site from 15 down to 10. We requested 8, but okay, it's a move in the right direction. Okay, so anyway, they passed that on to the County Board of Supervisors, and the County Board of Supervisors approved it as of August 27th. Then the county sent out a letter to all of the county zone towns saying, if you approve or disapprove of this, you must let us know. Apparently, they got enough pushback that they wanted to give the towns some buy-in on it. And the letter said, if you disapprove of it, you must send a certified letter of disapproval before 41 days from the time the county board adopted it, which would make it October 7th. If you approve of it, same thing, you have to send a certified letter to the county. If a majority of county-zone towns were to send in a letter of disapproval, that would end it, it would go back to the drawing board. It would default back to the original ordinance. If nothing is done in 41 days, it is law. The amendments are law. Our Plan Commission, and I have to say I am so proud to serve with our Plan Commission, really had an interesting discussion about the ramifications of if we disapproved. We didn't like the ordinance as it's been amended. We still don't like it. We'd like to see something more happen there. But if we disapproved, it would default back to no protection whatsoever from putting 15 camping cabins with electricity and plumbing per acre in a campground. We did not want to see that. If we approved, which we didn't do, it would mean we approved. So our recommendation to the board is to let the 41 days run out, leave the amendments as they are, ineffective or imperfect as they are, that's a better word, imperfect as they are, and we'll continue to work on our text amendment overlay campgrounds to be presented to the county, who I understand does not like text amendments and is trying to do away with all of them, but that's another whole battle down the road. The money for taking these text amendments, when we finish with them to the county, could be taken from the Plan Commission budget of $5,000 that we haven't used. We just keep rolling it over because there haven't been any good seminars in the last 5-6 years. And at least the amendments would have in place that, the ones they made, that only 20% of any developed campground can have camping cabins. So in other words, if you want 20 camping cabins, you have to make a campground of 100 spaces, and all the cabins have to have electricity and plumbing. I see this as a looming nightmare, but I think this is the best we're going to get from right now, for right now.
And if it's not possible for some reason that we don't get a text amendment, because somehow the county doesn't like text amendments, we also have an option perhaps of being able to work the cabin issue into our land division ordinance, which we have enacted, and you don't have to have a text amendment. It seems, for something like that in the land division ordinance. But that's a way, way down the road. As Nancy already suggested, that the text amendment is down the road. This is even past that. But we have a fallback about that as well.
It sounds to me like you don't approve.
Not at all.
Then why didn't you say that?
Because we don't want it to stop. We don't want to stop this and have it go back to the drawing board, because then that leaves, right now, the ordinance says you have to have 20 acres of land in order to do a campground. But once you have that 20 acres, you can put 15 campsites or camping units per acre. These would be 15 400-square-foot wooden camping cabins with plumbing and electric per acre.
So we're willing not to have a voice and let the county know what we're thinking.
Oh, they know what we're thinking.
Right, they already know, and to make it a majority to stop the ordinance, or to stop over the text amendment thing, change, they'd need 11 people to change their mind anyway, 11 town people to change their mind
Right,
anyways.
right.
So that's what we came up with, is to be not neutral, but to be.
Silent. Yeah,
Yeah, it could be worse, in other words.
yeah.
Right.
If-
Well, yeah, I understand
It
that,
could
but
be worse.
seems to me we're giving up a certain amount of our own autonomy.
Oh, my word.
Well,
Yeah, we are.
it seems to me that we are giving up some of our own autonomy.
Well, I was pretty vocal down at the RPC.
Well, no, I understand that. That's not the
We're
point.
still gonna go forward with a
Right,
suggestion and,
right.
a text amendment.
I really look at this entire issue of trying to solve the J-1 visa seasonal workers housing problem with a camping ordinance. That is just so wrong.
If this doesn't work, would an appeal to the Board of Adjustment be in the works, or?
If what doesn't work? Oh, you mean like if we're, okay, our campgrounds ordinance overlay, which is much better, I think, maybe I'm biased, but I think it's much better than the county's amendments. If we submit that and it gets rejected, I wouldn't mind going to the Board of Adjustment and fighting it. We gave that a lot of thought, separated out recreational vehicle camping from wilderness camping, created a buffer area around sensitive, environmental areas, none of which is done with the county ordinance. And now you've got that huge recreational vehicle luxury, whatever they're calling it, up by the quarry near Sturgeon Bay. This stuff is starting to happen all over, and it's because the developers are seeing openings here. And boy, with our geological topography, oh my word, we're letting ourselves in for some bad stuff.
Do we know what